So, welcome to episode number 39 of the Speaking Podcast. As always, you'll find us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Speaking Podcast. And this week, my guest is a good friend of mine, living in Germany, Cologne, but not from there, and is very energetic. But as always, I let herself to introduce you. Please welcome Lucy Liu.
Hello, Roy. Hello, everybody. Good to be on your show. I'm so excited. You're doing amazing work here.
Thank you. So let the audience know, who's Lucy Liu?
So, hi, everybody. I'm Lucy Liu, the same name as the famous actress. But aside from that, but I kick more ass. I'm a little bit nervous to be on your show, Roy. I don't know why I'm stuttering. Well, so I came from Taipei, Taiwan, and I moved to Germany a few years ago and Roy, I'm nervous.
It's okay. To be honest with you, that's a lot of people are at the start of the podcast, and I'm going to leave this in because I want people to know normally what I do when people actually, because we're doing this online. Normally what I do is I kind of sit around, have a cup of tea and chill out and let people relax, because it's kind of not normal. We don't normally do this where we have an interview over a microphone. I mean, we've spoke lots of times. And are you ever nervous talking to me?
No, I'm not.
It's the exact same thing. And I want the listeners to know that, because I know a lot of people, if they go on stage, if they're talking on the radio, if they're on the TV, if they're on a podcast, they get extremely nervous. And I want them to know that you're just talking to a person. And you have incredible value to give. And what you want to do is just to let the people know the value that you've got. So don't be nervous.
All right, let's try. Let's try again.
So let's go back when you were younger. How were you in school, stuff like that, regarding having to speak in public? Did you have to in school? Did you have to stand up in front of other class members and things like that?
Actually, I really, first of all, I love your mission, because your mission with the Speaker Podcast, I think, is to empower everybody who has a story, who has a message, that they can also share their message and know that we're all just ordinary people. And the separation between a speaker and non-speaker is just the speaker actually speak up and the speakers start sharing and then call themselves a speaker. But the truth is that we're all speakers. So for me, I started my so-called the speaking journey was that starting from when I was 12, I started learning English because my mother language is not English, it's Chinese. And then I was born in Taiwan, raised in Taipei, Taiwan, and was born there. And then I've always wanted to travel the world and see different parts of the world. And then when I was 12, my English teacher told us that, hey, if one day you can master both English and Chinese, you're gonna be rich beyond measure. And at 12, I want to be rich because I came from an entrepreneurial family, so money was not a taboo or anything. And then it's just like I wanted to, and of course I come from Asia, right? So it's like, yeah, of course I wanted to be rich. And so at that time, I know Chinese is already my mother language, but English is not. And then so the combination of me learning English and then started joining competitions, started joining speech competitions has totally changed my life, because I was actually very shy. It doesn't seem like it now. I'm very, I'm like always like smiling, laughing, and then thinking like making jokes. But I was very shy, and I was such an awkward girl because I was, like have the cutest, chubby face, and then very pimply. And then when you were 12, when you have a chubby face and pimply, it's not the best combination. And then I never felt that I was, beautiful in class. And when you're in puberty, and then so I was bullied a lot by the popular girls. And I never felt that I really matter or that my voice really mattered. But the combination of me learning English and then started joining speech competitions. Wow, I found a voice. And then weird enough, I actually started winning competitions. And then I was crazy about learning English. And I know that's something about me. It's just that when I want something, I never expect that whatever you want, I never expect it's just going to drop from the sky. I always believe that you have to work hard for it. So when I decided that I was going to learn English so I can see the world and be really rich, I was studying, I started listening to English radio programs, the same program 7 times a day. And in the beginning, I only understood 30% of it, which was the Chinese translation part. So it means I didn't really understand anything. But every day I just continue. And I had a very strong, is that even a Chinese accent? I had a very strong Chinese accent, of course, because it's not my mother language. So I at first, it was very embarrassing because people really couldn't understand me, but I just keep listening, I keep learning. And then whenever I see a white person walking around, it's like, oh, that's a white person. Yeah, that he must speak English. Let's go over there and then start practicing. I would just go over and say, hey, where are you from? And then I would start introducing Taipei. And so within 6 years, that started from 12. So in 6 years' time, by the age of 18, I was already a 3 times national public speaking champion. Wow. So my life just totally changed.
Wow, yes. That's some.
And then a few years later, I started my passion. Yeah, and then a few years later, actually not that many, right after the last year when I was in college, I just started my coaching so-called career. I just started helping people to also started from my schoolmates, people who are younger than me, just give them opportunity to join speech competition. Meaning when I win the first place, I was representing the school. Instead of going, I just give the opportunity to the person who was a 3rd place winner. And that was like my first coaching client without paid, of course. But I was just like, hey, she was like, I wish I could speak like you. I said, really? Let me make you an offer. What about I make you a champion? And then she was like, really? And I said, yeah, because I wanted to see, yes, I'm great, but can I make somebody else great? Excellent. And then so I trained this girl really from scratch, from the facial expression, from her accent, from her mimics, from her articulation, from body language, everything. And then she won the champion nationally. And it changed her life because she was this shy girl that I could see myself in her. She was this shy girl. But then when she won the speech competition, it's like, hoo la la, who is that girl? She take off her glasses and then replace that with contact lenses. She lost weight, she was becoming more feminine, just wearing like nice clothes. And then it changed. It changed her life. And I just got hooked. I'm like, okay, cool. And then so my reputation started to grow. So then my classmates started asking me, can you train my brother? Can you train me? And then that's just how it started.
Excellent. No, that's very interesting. Didn't know that about you. So yeah, very good. And
how could you not, Roy? I thought we're good friends.
And I saw you on stage in Pula, because you
okay.
That shows that you're constantly trying to improve, because you went to a speaking academy and you were incredible on stage. You actually got an award for that. And is that something that you constantly do? You're constantly trying to just improve, learn from other people?
Absolutely. I mean, how can you not? I really, and my philosophy is that if you really wanted to be the best, you have to learn from the best and be humble enough to learn from other people. Do you know, it's actually harder for me to be in a speaker academy and to win the speaker academy award as a speaker, because people already expect that you're good. People may even be more critical of you. You know how human psychology works, right? So for me, I also think that I am so glad that I was very, very competitive when I was younger, because I needed to compensate, for that pimply, girl that never really felt that I mattered. So when I found speech competition, it's like a bulldog, and it's like biting on that bone. It's like, I see that I can do this. So I got really excited. And then I used to be really afraid of competitions, because nobody wanted to lose, especially when you're in the beginning, you suck. And then, so I'm like, I don't want to be the last one. But then I got good at it, and I keep winning. And then, so there was one point I'm like, let me see what else are speech competitions. I'm going to get another championship. And then, so I would win. And then yet I just never, I felt like it became like, how do you call this? Like, you just keep chasing, like, it's okay, now I got this. Let me do the next one. Let me do the next one. And I was reaching a point where I just felt like it doesn't fulfill me anymore. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, great. Okay, I'm great. And then so what? And then so my big turning point came when I went to the US for a year as an exchange student. And then I only applied for one school. It was in the Midwest. It was so backwards because there were just corns and cows, it was like in the Midwest of US. And then so I went there, but it was the only school I applied because I didn't really want to go to big cities. I wanted to experience something different. Mm-hmm. And so I joined a speech class. And then I was thinking that, okay, I am going to get better in this speech class. And I was getting so good because most people, they just take their language for granted. Like these Americans, they are just like, yeah, of course, I speak. So why do I need to practice? But for me, each speech assignment, I was the Chinese student who would actually write up every script, and I would print them out in Times New Roman 12, font 12, no, I think 14, and I would stick it on the shower, and then I would try to memorize every script. And I take every speech so seriously. And then so at the end, I think my last speech assignment, my classmate just said, don't go after her. And then, because it's like, oh, she's so good, don't go after her. And then something I realized, and I was like, hey, I remember when I started learning English when I was 12, was that one day I could speak English as well, or better than the native speaker. So now I've reached there. What else do I need to prove? Can I actually use this skill for something better, for something of more value? And then so at that time, there was one. Do you know about fraternity? I didn't know about that when I was in Taiwan, but you know about fraternity, right? Like a bunch of dudes.
Yeah, I've heard of them. Yeah, in America. You said not just from films. Yeah.
Yeah, like a bunch of dudes, there's sorority, there's fraternity, there's a bunch of dudes that all like come together. And then I don't know what they do in their dormitory, but I don't want to know. Maybe drinking or partying or whatever. And then so I remember this one fraternity guy, he came to our class and then he was asking for donation. It was for the local hospital in Ames, Iowa. And then, in the US, I think things are changing right now, but at that time it was way back, already more than, I don't want to say how many years. Number one, I don't want to disclose my age. Number two, I actually couldn't remember. This is so long ago. So at that time, it was really a few years back. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. So this guy came to ask us for donation for the hospital because the health insurance in US is very, very expensive. Yeah. So if you don't have a health insurance, basically, you cannot have access to medical care. So he was raising money. And at that time I was a student. I couldn't really give much. So the most I could give was like $20. And I gave the $20, but I felt very bad about it. I felt that why couldn't I give more? Then I had this brilliant idea. was, hey, what about I start raising money for this hospital? It was just an idea. And then I was just like, okay, then whatever money people give, I'll just take it. And I'll also, I got a piece of paper. I was thinking that the people, when they receive a donation, it's not just about the money, but it's about knowing people care. So I would like everybody who donate, no matter how little, it's about your heart. So I asked everyone to write their name on a piece of paper. And then I started raising money from my dormitory, one door at a time, knocking on doors. And then I got hooked because I'm competitive. I'm like, okay, now I have, bother and then, pretty much harass the whole building. What else can I do? So I was like, okay, what about I ask my class, like teachers, professors, if I can actually get in their class, my class. I mean, there's French class, there's other classes, that if I can raise money. And then my French class teacher said yes. And then a few other classes would say yes. But the biggest class was actually the speech class. It was a final exam of like 500 people all in the same hall. That was like a big hall. And then I was like secretly wishing, please don't say yes, because I'm so nervous. I was like, don't say yes. And of course, as fate would have it, the teacher said yes. And I was like, no, my God. I was so nervous. I was thinking, this is final exam. People just want to go home. And now I'm going to ask people for money. I was like so nervous. My heart was like jumping out of my chest. I was thinking, what am I going to say? So I was at the hall. It was huge. And then the teacher told me, I have a bad news for you. The microphone is broken. So I have to talk into this whole hall. I was like, my heart was pounding. I was like 20 years old, 20. And then, so I actually just stood there and I just share my heart and then tell everybody what Christmas really means. And then asking them, I know it's final exam, but we will really appreciate it. But whatever money you give, we're going to, donate it. And then afterwards, I was like, I literally, I felt like my heart was bumping out of my chest and my face was so red because I felt so embarrassed. Like how college students are, they're like, just shut up. We just want to finish the exam. And then I was like asking for money. But then afterwards, I think we raised more than, I don't know, like 600 something like. Anyway, it was a long time ago, but the guy told me that was the biggest like individual donation they have received. And it was like a funny story was, I didn't have, I was so pure. I didn't have any boyfriends, right? And then so when I went to the US, I was like, I'm just like this innocent girl. But in the second semester, I had a boyfriend. And then my boyfriend, we started sharing stories. When I told him about this, he told me, oh my God, you were that crazy girl in the front raising money? Because he was sitting behind me. He was sitting behind me. And he said, I thought you were crazy, but I was thinking, well, at least that girl got balls or got guts. So I was like, yeah, I would like to talk to her. But then you were like writing your exam, I didn't want to wait for you. So I left. I said, yeah, of course. I was so embarrassed. I was like, don't look at me. So I was like spending so much time just on my exams.
No, that's excellent.
Yes.
No, that's brilliant. So you mentioned that like you were learning your speeches, in the shower, obviously with a clear pocket or something like that so that it didn't get wet. But how do you prepare your speeches now?
How do I prepare my speech now? Is I prepare my speech, number one is I first do the energetic work. What does that mean? It means that I have realized after training speakers, after being a speaker and being on stage, I realized that the real speaker who stand out is really not about their information, but it's about their energy. What do you think, Roy? You have seen a lot of speaker. Would you don't have to agree with me, okay? But I wonder, what do you think when people who really stand out to you, especially in today's information age, whatever you want to know, you can find it on the internet. Really. So what stand out is actually the person, their energy, who they are, what they emanate. And then so when I prepare for my speech, I first prepare for the energetic part, meaning who do I serve? I first make a connection, an energetic connection with them. What does that mean? It means that I meditate. So I would just sit down. I would close my eyes. I would envision myself being on stage. And then I would envision the audience and then envision who needs this message. And then why does it matter to them? And then I would envision that how they will receive it, their emotional journey. And then from that place, because then I feel fueled. I feel like, wow, they really need me. Because I think a lot of times that the worst case is that you're just there to deliver a speech, but you're not passionate about the message. People can so see that, right? It's like,
of course, yeah.
Yeah, I can see you're bored by yourself. So why are you here? You got to be like burning for what you're talking about. So people can feel that passion. So I first prepare for that energetically. Then when I feel that passion in me, then I started thinking about what is the message? Then that's the practical part. Then after joining so many speech competitions, I just find out that, okay, technically, how do you actually write a speech? So for example, if normally you have a 10-minute time slot, you have to prepare for about like 1,000 words. Because if you speak one word, like that's just the normal pace. If it's 7 minutes, around like 700 words. And then in the past, I used to write up every single speech. Kid you not. I joined Toastmaster speech competitions. One time my girlfriend, I was practicing my speech with her. And then she was like, wow, that's great. She went to my speech competition. Everybody see me just perform and everything. But then she was like, holy shit, you actually remember every single word. I said, yeah, of course. And she was like, how did you do that? I said, because I practice. I'm in the woods, I'm practicing, I'm memorizing. And then she was like, I thought you were so good, you don't need to do this. I said, well, this is work ethics. That's how, when I started joining speech competition, that's what I do. Right now, I'm not as extreme, okay? I'm like more, okay, I know the structure, I know the main points, I know the intro, the first 30 seconds, I know the last 30 seconds, I know the main points, then I'm good to go. That's how I prepare for my speech.
And when you were doing the speeches, how many times do you reckon you actually rehearsed per speech?
Per speech? Oh, I cannot count the times, but at least I would say consciously at least 50 times. Unconscious, I don't know. Because when I get an assignment that I need to give a speech, already in my mind, I'm keep rehearsing already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm actually totally opposite. Like I've signed up today now for a speech tomorrow morning, and
really,
and there's times where I actually just I will create the speech as I'm sitting down 10 minutes before going up. So I just
really,
yeah. My very
okay.
my very first speech was one where I wrote it all out and practiced probably 40 times, 50 times. And halfway through it, I kind of panicked and stopped because like all the eyes were looking at me. So when you're practicing, there's no eyes looking at you. And then I kind of realized, all right, this doesn't work for me. So I just started speaking from the heart. It tends to flow through me. So if somebody said, talk about this, yeah, I can do it. And the same with the table topics, because you're familiar with Toastmasters. I tend to, do well in the table topics as well. Like, plenty of ribbons hanging up from winning that. Like, so.
Congratulations. And I think the most important thing is as long as it works for you. And what I mean by it works for you is as long as you're connecting with your audience, that actually is the most important. Because I really believe that a speaker is not just about, I'm a star, look at me, like I think nowadays, especially in this industry, so much, I'm not saying everyone, but I think that it got to be very careful about, the the ego or building this persona like, hey, I'm better, or for me it was never about that. I think the best speakers are people who truly have a message, and then that message comes from their experience, because they have gone through the pain, and then they really care about other people. They really care that I've gone through this and I don't want other people to go through the same thing. So I'm here to share my experience, and I pour my heart out, and I'm sharing with you with the intention that this will make your life better. I find those to be the best speakers.
No, exactly. And the other thing is, I can guarantee you that I bet you had a better pleasure from when the person that had came third that you coached won than from yourself when you had done it the second. I mean, obviously the first time is probably a different experience, but after the first time, that you probably had more joy because you were able to guide the person through. And I see that as well. When you help somebody and you see them grow, going from quivering on stage to standing in confident and actually getting a message out, there's a great feeling in that.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. I love what I do. I really, really love what I do. Yes. Yeah. And then when I do my pitch, I'm in this global woman club, right? It's like all women, all ladies together. How exciting is that? And then talking about business. I love that. So every time when we gather, we have 2 minutes to do our pitch. And then for me, when I get on stage, I was just like, the first word that I said was just, the first sentence I would say is, I love my job. I really love what I do. I really love helping people to overcome stage fright. So because I know public speaking is like one of the biggest fear of mankind, which is like so crazy, right? Before death. Am I remembering that right?
Yeah,
like,
but I mean,
so insane
I have
that
said
you're
that
more afraid being on stage than being dead. Yeah. So that means your podcast is very important, because you're actually helping people to overcome that one of the biggest fear. And it is so liberating. I think for me now, the reason why I can live so freely and then I'm just like speaking my mind is because I went through that. I overcome that biggest fear, which is the fear of public speaking. I think I would like to hear your thought on this, but I think the reason why the public speaking is one of the biggest fear is you're directly confronting the biggest fear. Actually, the deeper fear is not public speaking, but it's the fear of being judged and being unloved and being, like looking at you is like, because you cannot avoid people's judgment when you're on stage. It's literally you're on stage and people are looking at you and they're judging you, and you know that. Oh, the clothes, the person speaking like this and blah, 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 blah. And you're like, why do I put myself in this position? And imagine speech competition. You're like, and now I'm going to be judged. The other person is better than me, and I'm the last one or I'm the first one. So I think that's actually the reason. What do you think?
Yeah, and like you actually overcame your shyness earlier at 12. I was in my 40s when I'm in there's just over 2.5 years now. And I hated speaking in public. It was terrible for me. So now, as I said, I can just, I can do 4 speeches in a week, and all different, and I don't be rehearsing them or anything, and I just feel confident. But a lot of it is, as you mentioned, like your experience, and I love sharing my experiences with people who will learn from them so that they don't repeat things that have happened to me. And that feels good, and people remember that as well, or they come up and they thank you for that, or that you hit a point that they can actually resonate with you, and it's a good feeling.
Yes. And you're also an entrepreneur, Roy. So you know that as entrepreneurs, we're always seeking for this thing like called financial freedom. That's what we work for, right? As we never have to work for money anymore. We don't have to be somebody's bitch. That we can just, did I just say that?
You're okay, because I marked the podcast explicit.
It is for people who are over 18. Yes, I just said that. So you don't have to be the slave of somebody else. You can be your own boss, right? But you know, what's good of having financial freedom when you don't have freedom of self-expression? I mean, like, even if you are very rich, but then if you cannot be yourself, that's like that's so hard. So what I love about my job is just giving people the freedom to express themselves with confidence, with clarity, with power, without shame, without guilt, and then just be them. It's like the thing that we want the most is to be ourselves, but it's like the hardest thing. Why do you think that is?
I don't know.
Why?
I think a lot of the times, like where a lot of people are chasing the dream, they're chasing the wealth, as you mentioned earlier. And they think by having the big house, by having this big car, some people, they get to a level where they want their own plane and they think that then they've reached it and that's it. But in reality, it's about being present in the moment. And
Mm.
whether you're on stage giving your message and just seeing the smile on people's faces, or even somebody coming up afterwards and you've inspired them to start taking a Toastmaster class, or just even just when you're having your breakfast, that you're kind of acknowledged that, look, there's a lot of people that were involved in creating this food, the farmers, the people transporting it, and just be there and enjoying it. Instead of thinking, when I get here, I'll be happy. I think that never happens. It's just, and when you realize that, you enjoy life more.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And you know, recently I'm so passionate about getting people on Facebook Live. Have you done, are you doing Facebook Live right now?
I think I done it once, and I didn't know how to turn it. I didn't know how to turn it off. So I was like, I've been panicking since. But yeah, I think I should do more. When I release the book, I'll start doing it, because I think it definitely works for marketing and everything. And plus, just it's a different form of speaking as well. Because yeah, if a lot of people, they're recording, they've the camera, the tripod, they've the whole setup, and they can do the 20th recording and it looks like they're perfect at it. Whereas when you're doing it live, you see me with my pimples, you see my hair, you see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, baby. Yes. Yeah. Can I share with your audience why I would encourage people to do Facebook Live?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Is I know most of your audience who are listening, they are listening to this because they wanted to increase or improve their speaking skills, because probably they wanted to become speakers. They wanted to get their message out there. And I really find that Facebook Live is such an incredible tool. Number one, it is for free. Number two, it really trains you. It's like impromptu on steroid, right? Like impromptu speech on steroid. You're like, oh my God, what am I talking about? And then now I'm looking into a camera with no one looking. It's like you don't know who is looking at you, but you're just looking at the camera, and then you're trying to talk to a camera as if you're talking to a human being, which is like so not. But I started the Facebook Live is because as an entrepreneur, you're always finding ways to market yourself, because, marketing is really important. Social media is very important. So I've always heard this, like, video is king, that you got to put out video content. And I was like, okay, I need to do video. And I used to, about like a year ago, just for one video that I would put up, like let's say a 10-minute video, okay? I would actually spend a whole day doing this back again and again and again, record it. And then it was like, to the second sentence, it's like what we did right earlier. I was like, okay. And I was like, no, okay, I have to do it again. And then it was like, always I got stuck at minute 2. And I'm like, oh, this is so frustrating. I've been on this machine already, this phone, for 3 freaking hours, and Saturday. I'm so pissed. And then at the end, I was like sweating bullet, and I still don't get a video out. And then I was like, okay. And then even if I do get a video out, I find that there's not like as many people watching it. You know how heartbreaking it is when you put your heart and soul into producing like one video? You're like, this is gonna change the world. And then it's like nobody responded, nobody commented, nobody liked it. You're like, they don't like me. What's wrong with me? And then so I just decided, I'm like, okay, I gotta change an attitude, and I gotta get really like better at this video thing. So I just see Facebook Live as a challenge for me. So I started like a 30-day thing. And I kid you not, Roy, like the first day I went live, I flat, meaning like I was in the forest, I still remember. And then it was live, right? And I look in, it was minute 2. I look into the camera and I blank out. And it was so embarrassing because it was live. It was like just me looking into the camera and then live. And it was like, now what do I say? And this is live. I couldn't do it again. And I was like, oh. But I just stare at it. And I was feeling all this embarrassment because it was like, am I not supposed to be a speech coach? And how can I not even do a Facebook Live? And all these things, I was feeling the heat on my face. And then, but I just stuck with it. With the second day, get better, third day. And I realized with social media, it's all about consistency because you can literally use social media to reinvent yourself. For all the personal development lovers, this is a great hack. You know why? Because people don't even freaking remember who you were like 180 days ago. Okay. Like, because they don't scroll down that. They just see the newest you. And they're like, oh my God, I have this one, AFES alumni, Olivia, and she called me the other day and she was like, Lucy, I'm telling you, I think I should do more Facebook Live and you're my role model. It's like, I wish I could speak like you. You look so natural. You look into the camera and everything. I was like, girl, if you were to see me like a year ago, that's not me. Okay. It's like, now it's fine, but no. And then, so that's why I encourage, anybody who's really get to listen to this far, thank you for staying with us for this far.
They're all asleep. They're gone.
Yeah, they're like gone. Who is still listening? That I will really, really recommend that if you are an entrepreneur who wanted to build thought leadership, who knows that you're building your personal brand is important, which is you in the front, and you know that social media is the tool. You wanted to do marketing for free, then please really do consider Facebook Live. Because even if nobody watch, this can be your assets, because people love hero stories, right? So it's so great to capture, here's the thing. A lot of people say, but what if I suck? I'm going to tell you this. It's so great that you suck in the beginning because you're going to get so good afterwards. So you have to prove that you suck. Like right now, people look at me as like, you're so good. And they're like, they don't believe it. And I'm like, just go back. Like, I don't know, a year ago, I suck. I promise you, I suck. And then they see it. They're like, okay, yes, you suck. So, like you got to prove that you suck. Mm-hmm. So you should totally do it, even if you suck at it. And if you need help, like Roy is going to put my name or whatever, you can just add me on Facebook. You can send me a friend request, send me a message. And then I can help you out because it's so easy, really. I got so many people off that line, like so many people are doing like 10-day, 7-day Facebook Live challenge because I push them. They're like, oh, and then every single one, really, Roy, I promise you, every single one that after they did that they are at a better place. Opportunities open up because it's all about energy. It's about confidence in yourself. And then so when you have that, you become more magnetic. Yeah. I hope that I actually convince you to actually do Facebook Live because I'm really passionate about it.
I love challenges, so I'm up for it. And what do you find is the sweet spot? Like how many minutes? Because you can track the actual number of views. So is 1 minute good? Do you lose them when you go past 5 minutes? What's the sweet spot for time wise?
You know what? I've done long ones. I've done short ones. I should probably look more into the data. I don't know. But I would say if you're in the beginning, really consistency is more important than length. Yeah. Like if you can do like 20 minutes, okay, do it. If you do 10 minutes, do it because it's all about variety as well, right? Yeah. But then if you don't want to do 3-5 minutes, that's fine too.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yes. That makes sense. Very good. Very good. And
yeah. So when are you going to start? When are you gonna start?
Well, I was planning on doing it when the book will be coming out in September. I was planning on doing it then, but perhaps I'll start and do other stuff just to get me ready for
yes.
Out of maybe on the speaking and just talk about the different podcasts and stuff like that and the different speakers and just get them. So yeah.
Oh, definitely, definitely, and especially You are so smart. Okay. That's very wise, because you're saying that right now you're warming up, because tell you what, now you should already start building till people know you're already doing Facebook Live. So it's not like all of a sudden you're like coming out in September and say, dun dun, here I am. Here is my book. Here's my thing. But you're already starting building relationships, because tell you what, let me ask you this question, okay? Is from all the Facebook friends that you have, right?
Mm-hmm. Do
you actually remember the people more when you watch their Facebook Live? Even if you don't watch the whole thing, but even if just you see them doing Facebook Live, does it actually make a bigger impression on you, this friend, than other friends?
I would say yes, that you'd remember them more, and that you even can connect better, because for example, if you were doing stuff and when I meet you, then I have something to, even if we didn't know each other well, but we were connected on Facebook, I can come up and go, hey, I didn't know you did X, Y, and Z. So it's a great way of actually building a relationship with somebody as well.
Yes. So you got that point, because that's what I think back when I think about all my Facebook friends. It was like the people who actually, because when I suck at videos, I was like, I wanted to do Facebook Live exactly for this reason, because the people who were doing Facebook Live were the people that I actually remember, right? And especially the ones have a great presence on camera. When they were like talking, they were like, wow, that's an expert. That's an authority, because that is your TV station. Whenever that you're actually going on the Facebook Live, see yourself as the thought leader, as the expert teaching something, sharing your life. And then so people would feel so much more related to you than other people that make you stand out.
Yes. No, perfect. So I'm actually conscious of the time, because I know you've got another.
Yes.
So how can actually people get in contact? Because you have got your own academy. So if you have the time, you can actually explain what it covers, but also give your website and how people can get in contact with you.
Yeah, sure. So my website is actually really easy. It's www.lucy. I was like almost hesitated. Lucy. So my name is spelled as Lusea. Lucy, like the ocean. LucyLu.com. Sorry, .lu. Lucy.lu. So you know Roy already. You can always just send Roy a message, and then Roy can also pass me forward to you. And I run a speaker academy. So I have my own speaker academy. It's called the Magnetic Speaker Academy. So we have a 5-day training here in Cologne. The next one is going to be in February. It's a small group. So if you are looking to really overcome and eliminate your stage fright once and for all, and even if you don't do Facebook Live, just you wanted to do Facebook Live, I tell you, this academy will get you that result, because you will need to do at least, well, at the moment, 10 Facebook Live just within the academy. So already the way that we teach is, I don't believe in just information and knowledge, but in transformation, meaning that you have to experience it. You have to experience. Public speaking is an experience. I cannot just, hey, you have to actually practice it. So that's why it's a small group. You will get feedback from me. You'll be on stage, and I will teach you all of course, the skills as well. How do you own the stage in the first 7 seconds? How do you project your voice in a room of 200-300 people, even without a microphone? How do you speak with full authority? And then how do you actually use the tone of your voice to keep the engagement of your audience? How do you deal with blank out? A lot of people, they're just like, oh my God, but I just blank out. And then they shrink. So how do you actually turn blank out into a moment of power? Instead of losing your authority, you actually increase your authority. It's super effective. So it's a 5-day training. It's hands-on. So if you're interested, then you can come join us in 2020, February.
Excellent. And I think if people go there, if they can even get 5% of your energy, they'll be incredible on stage, because you ooze energy. And I think that's, you're right. It's so important, and people are attracted to energy. So you have got that sewn up. So I would highly encourage people to go and actually take the course.
Thank you, Roy. I have a question for you, Roy. I'm putting you on the spot because we're friends. What kind of logic is this? I'm putting you on the spot because we're friends. That sounds a little bit BS, but so Roy, you have seen me on how many times have you seen me on stage? Was that just in Pula?
Yeah, that was the on the stage there, yeah.
Okay, so can you give an evaluation? I wanted to hear it because you're a good speaker. I wanted to hear your speaker evaluation of my speech.
For me to do an evaluation, I'd have to know prior to the speech that I'd be evaluating, because I do a lot of evaluating now. Like most weeks, if I'm not speaking, I'm either the Toastmaster or the evaluator, and I tend to pick up a lot of stuff. But for me to actually go back and recap based on a speech, that was a few months ago, I wouldn't do it justice. But I'd have no problem if the next time you're speaking, if you said to me, can you evaluate me, to actually go through it. And I watch everything. I'll watch your body movement. I'll watch, like, I see some people, they give a sigh before they start. I see people, when they're finished, they go away as if like, oh, so I'll watch even that. I watch how the audience are reacting, but I wouldn't do you justice by actually telling you something, no. But I know that I enjoyed it, and we were able to vote, and I actually voted for it because it was so good. So all I can say is it was a fantastic speech, but to actually go into real detail, I wouldn't be able to do it fairly for you.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you. Now, the audience can actually not see our facial expression. I'm actually smiling. I'm not like uncomfortable or anything. I'm actually smiling because I think that the audience also wanted to know more about you and how you look at speeches. And then since now I got a chance, being interviewed by you, I wanted to hear your perspective, how you see being a good speaker, because this podcast, is your podcast, Roy. People wanted to know about, you too.
Yeah.
What you think, and then your skills.
Exactly. Actually, there's a friend of mine, he started a podcast because he has a blog, and he interviewed me on Monday and put it out. So I've been interviewed for the first time the other day. But I like it as well when people throw questions back, because I don't get to actually give my 2 cents at times. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Alrighty.
So thank you very much, and I wish you huge success with your speaking academy, and I look forward to seeing you again, because every time we meet, it's just energy, and it's amazing. So it's been fantastic. I know the people will love it, and to be honest with you, I think we'll put this out on video as well, because I should be able to upload it if you're okay with that, because people will actually see your energy from just the video, and it's important. So if you're okay with that, we can put the video up as well.
You should have told me, maybe at least I can put my hair down, or no, does that look good? Or put on some eye makeup or something.
You're naturally beautiful, so it's all good.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you got to learn from this. It's like, that's just the most safe sentence to say to any lady. You look naturally beautiful. Yeah, we always have good laughs, so
exactly. So it's been wonderful, and thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, everybody. So we thank you for joining us for this far, and I really honor you for being Roy's audience. I know Roy only attract the best people, and that if you got a message, you should really get it out there. I'm not just saying, I know everybody say this, you hear this all the time on YouTube videos. So it doesn't hurt that I say this again, since everybody is saying it, you may as well hear it again, because it's true. It is true that, there's nothing more inspiring. It's not just about being a speaker, but it's nothing more inspiring to see another human being on fire about what they do. That's actually what makes life so amazing, is that passion for life, and then wanting to share that joy and that energy with everyone that we touch. So keep rocking on, and thank you, Roy, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Lucy Lou. See you. Take care.
See ya.